Your stories into my DMs, and I really appreciate that. Hi you guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today on Paranormal Activity, I decided to not do that.
Can you hear them scream?
Today on Paranormal Activity, I decided to have a subscriber story time, where I will have you guys send me your spooky stories and I will compile them into a video. I had a lot of fun making this. Please submit more of your videos. You can narrate them, you can send me typed up what you want to say, you can send me a video, and I just put them together and I make a really cool compilation of your guys' stories. So if you've had a paranormal experience, make sure that you submit them to be featured in my next subscriber story time. But without further ado, here's our first submission. It was the summer of '96, or better referred to as the summer of hell. I can't help but to blame myself. After all, I've watched plenty of horror movies to know all the basic rules. But even then, I ignored the most important one. I was young and curious, so attracted to anything horror. I played with a spirit board by myself, and if that wasn't enough, I had chanted spells that I found in a spell book written in another language. Frustrated at what I thought was a complete fail since nothing had happened, I continued on with this dangerous combo. A few days have passed, and things began to change. I started hearing strange sounds. Each night that went by, the evil entity became more aggressive. Some would call it sleep paralysis, but I know it was an evil force holding me captive. I can hear the growling in my ear and the voices as they whisper to me, calling out my name. I was terrified. I fought so hard to have enough courage to open my eyes. And the fear would strike again when I would witness with my own eyes a hooded shadow figure by my bed. Shadow figures darting in and out of the wall while calling my name. It was getting worse. I can now feel them touching me. Like actually touching my foot. It wouldn't let me sleep. It was as if it was getting stronger. I was so scared, and knowing it was my fault, I didn't want to tell anyone, especially my father. All my friends had warned me about tampering with spirit boards. I no longer felt safe in my own home, and every chance I got, I tried to go somewhere, hoping that it wouldn't follow me. I distinctly remember several occasions where the evil had followed me. My aunt had asked me to stay with her and her family for the week to babysit my little cousin while she worked. I had fallen asleep when something disturbed me. I opened my eyes to the light above me, flickering on and off, on and off. I immediately left the bedroom and fell asleep on the couch for the rest of the night. Another night, I had experienced the same thing, but this time, as I left the room, I heard whispering coming from my cousin's bedroom, which was located right next to the living room. Confused and terrified, I started to wonder if it was my cousin that I had been babysitting, only to find out later that he was sleeping in his parents' room the entire night. I knew I had to dispose of the board, and when I did, I heard a voice later that night. It said, "I will come back." Eventually we moved, and I began to feel safe again. The activity still happens from time to time. I realized later that this thing wasn't a part of the house. I summoned it, and it was attached to me. I thought I was losing my mind until one day my older cousin had visited. She is also a believer who has her own personal experiences. We were exchanging stories of strange events, and she distinctly heard a heavy breathing coming from upstairs. We both looked at each other, noticed my dog turn towards the direction of the stairs, because she heard it too. My cousin had lived there prior to me, and stated that she has never heard that during the whole time she lived there.
Hi, my name's Don. So my experience with the paranormal. It's kind of been a lifelong thing for me. I feel like as long as I can remember, if there's been something present anywhere that I've lived, I've experienced it. I've felt it, seen it, made contact with it. And I feel like it's just kind of progressively gotten stronger with each occurrence. But probably the most notable one, the one that really got me into the world of the paranormal, was this house that I lived in my early teens up until about the time I was 20 when I moved out. From the day we moved in, I took note of the fact that the attic had stuff left in it, boxes, old clothes, newspapers. I'm talking old newspapers, like early 1900s. And it had this very, very, very strong, overwhelming scent of vanilla. And looking back after countless summers of the windows being open, fans being on, that scent never went away. The day I moved out, it was just as strong as the day we moved in. But aside from that, there are a lot of actual occurrences. It started with being on the computer late at night, and from the corner of my eye, I would see somebody walk down the hall to the kitchen. And it happened, night after night after night after night. And finally, I called out one time just to whoever it was, because it was pretty late, and I got no response. So I walked out there, and there was nobody there at all. And so I started taking note, and it happened at 11:02 p.m. every single night. And it seemed like from there it just progressed. There were times where I'd be sitting in the living room on the couch, and there would be a banging on the floor underneath from behind the couch that would make the TV shake, and I'd be the only one home. There was one time I was on the phone with my then girlfriend at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and someone started pounding on my bedroom door, and I figured, I am being too loud. So I got up to open the door and apologize, and there was absolutely nobody there. Literally within 15 seconds of the pounding, I jumped up and was at the door. I checked in on my parents. They were asleep. And my sister was asleep. Then there was the time I was using our bathroom to record some stuff, because bathrooms have pretty awesome acoustics. And home alone, bathroom doors closed, when out of nowhere it slams open so hard that the doorknob actually put a hole in the wall. But probably the freakiest thing to have occurred in that house was the morning I brought home a new kitten, and it spent the entire day staring at my closet, growling. This little kitten, not more than 3-4 months old, just staring at the closet, growling. So I started looking into things, and finally I wake up one day and I roll over to this very distinct very dark figure just standing there over the side of my bed, just standing there, kind of hovered over me, standing over watching. And I remember the feeling inside of my chest, the pounding of my heart, the fear, and all I could do was roll over, pull the blankets over my head, and just hope for it to go away. I laid there for probably only a couple minutes, if that, but it felt like an eternity, and I removed the blanket and it was gone. And a lot of things, a lot of other minor occurrences, but it's real. And as mesmerizing, as interesting as it can be, it is not something to be toyed with. It's something to be taken seriously, and that's one thing that I've come to realize. But yeah, that's my experience, and thank you for letting me share.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I really had fun today. Please make sure that you send in your subscriber storytime video to be featured in the next one. But that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure that you leave a comment, a like, hit the subscribe button, because every little bit helps. And remember to follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Paranormal Activity. And I will talk at you next time.